A dangerous deception, the John Meehan story. This man was a predator. There's really no other way to describe him. His name was John Meehan, and at 31, he was already a career con artist. He'd spent his entire adult life lying, cheating, and scamming women, but he got away with it because he had a certain charm that people found disarming. In 1990, his life seemed to take a different direction when he met Tanya, a 25-year-old nurse. They dated for a couple of years and eventually married. John even enrolled in nursing school and became a nurse himself, following in his wife's footsteps. But he destroyed everything when he had an affair and got the other woman pregnant. Tanya was devastated. How could he lie to her so effortlessly? She began investigating his background to see what else he'd been dishonest about, and she discovered plenty. He'd lied about numerous things, including his age. Who lies to their own wife about their age? Fed up, Tanya searched their home and found pharmaceutical medications that she knew should never leave the hospital. He'd been stealing drugs from work and abusing them. She reported him to the police. John didn't just lose his nursing license, he was charged with felony drug theft. Knowing Tanya had turned him in, he began calling and threatening her. Enjoy your time left on this earth, because that's what it's going to come down to. Police arrested John, and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. But he served only 17 months before being released, and he immediately went back to terrorizing women. He returned to the dating scene with a new scheme. He'd match with women on dating sites, meet them in person, then rob them. Complaints and criminal charges piled up. He was also charged with stalking. The man was relentless. Then everything changed again when John joined a dating site for people over 50. There he met Debra, a 59-year-old interior designer. Debra was successful and financially comfortable. They chatted, hit it off, and went on a date. During their first meeting, John embellished wildly. He claimed he was an anesthesiologist, which he wasn't, and said he'd just returned from working with Doctors Without Borders in Iraq, which he hadn't. Debra believed him. She was impressed. They went back to her place, and at some point John lay down in her bed and refused to leave. When Debra told him it was time to go, he apparently said no, leading to an argument. He eventually left, but the next day he called to apologize and begged for a second chance. They continued dating, and over time Debra fell for him. However, people around her didn't share her feelings, especially her adult daughters, Jacqueline and Tara. They found him strange and off-putting, and Jacqueline was vocal about it. Tara also sensed something wasn't right. And there were reasons to be suspicious. John claimed he was an anesthesiologist, yet he didn't own a car. What kind of doctor can't afford a vehicle? He spent his days playing video games despite supposedly having an important medical career. He wore dirty scrubs everywhere, even to formal events, as if desperately trying to convince people he was a doctor. What bothered Jacqueline most were his constantly filthy fingernails. Doctors are known for keeping their hands immaculately clean. But being an anesthesiologist wasn't his only lie. He didn't have a job at all. He'd leave the house every day as if going to work, but he was completely unemployed. Where did he go? Nobody knew. Despite the red flags, Debra and John moved in together and married in Las Vegas. By this point, Jacqueline and Tara were convinced something was wrong. They hired a private investigator who uncovered the truth. John wasn't an anesthesiologist or any kind of doctor. During the period he claimed to be with Doctors Without Borders in Iraq, he'd actually been in prison. The daughters tried to tell Debra, but she wasn't ready to hear it. Eventually, Debra investigated on her own and discovered everyone had been telling the truth. John wasn't a doctor. He was a criminal with a history of victimizing women. While John was in hospital recovering from back surgery, Debra quietly moved out. When she told him, he was furious. Over the following months, he bombarded her with calls and messages, making excuses for his lies and insisting he was the love of her life. Unfortunately, it worked. She gave him another chance, and they moved into a new apartment together. But John was controlling. He didn't want Debra contacting her daughters because they disliked him. In 2016, he caught her sneaking out to meet Jacqueline. He exploded with rage and threatened to throw Jacqueline into the ocean if Debra tried to see her again. That was the final straw. Debra left him for good. John didn't take it well. Over the next few months, his behavior escalated dramatically. He sent threatening messages, filed for divorce demanding half her income and ownership of her business, stalked her, stole her Jaguar and set it alight, and emailed intimate photos of her to her family. He was completely unhinged. Debra grew terrified that he would physically harm her. She filed a restraining order, but because he lived in a different state and hadn't yet physically attacked her, it was denied. That denial proved catastrophic. One day, Tara was driving home from work. She pulled into her parking spot and got out of her car. Suddenly, John appeared behind her and attacked her with a knife. They struggled as he tried to force her into the vehicle, apparently attempting to kidnap her. She bit down hard on his hand, and they both fell to the ground. They wrestled for control. She managed to kick the knife from his hand, grabbed it herself, and stabbed him repeatedly until he was critically injured. 4 days later, he died in hospital. Police determined Tara's actions were self-defense, which they absolutely were.